got a license to kill. Pest, that is. This is Unwelcome Guests. We're here to help you protect what matters: your home, your family, and your peace of mind.
If you thought you were out of the creepy crawly woods, think again, because South Florida's got a new termite threat. And these guys, they're tougher, faster, and unfortunately, they're already here. Today, we're breaking down what hybrid termites mean for your home and what you can do about it. Jeremy Wolf here alongside your host, the hostess with the mostess, the owner of Quality Termite Pest Control, Jenny Chapter. Jenny, good to see you.
Good morning. Great to see you, Jeremy.
Yes, likewise. Okay, so let's get into this, because this is actually something that I wasn't even on my radar until you first brought it to my attention. And I think it's a fascinating topic, and it's going to be very useful for South Florida homeowners.
Yeah.
Start there. What exactly are hybrid termites, and how do they differ from the typical run-of-the-mill termites that we all know and love so much down here in South Florida?
Right. Well, drywood termites have been around for many, many years down here in South Florida. It's just it's a tropical termite, and the climate calls for it. However, we do have a subterranean termite. We always have had an eastern subterranean termite as well. But a non-native species called the Formosan subterranean termite was introduced to the States right here. We're ground zero, Hollywood, Hollandale Beach, Dania Beach area. Brought in through the ports. They've spread exponentially. They've been here for many, many years. Very different than the drywood termites, which is an aerial termite where you have thousands in a colony. These subterranean Formosan termites have millions in a mature colony. We've had a couple of stories come out back to back from the Department of Agricultural Bureau of Entomology just in the recent weeks regarding a hybrid termite. There's many species of termites. You wouldn't realize that people think termites are just one type and one treatment for all, but that's not the case. There are subterranean termites that come from the ground. A mature colony has millions in a colony, extremely destructive. We've also got an Asian subterranean termite that they've been doing a lot of studies on. We have an IFAS center right here in our backyard in Davie. That's a fascinating site that's got an entomologist there at all times. And they've been doing a lot of studies with regards to where we're finding these termites. And right in the Fort Lauderdale area, we have found that they were cohabitating, the Formosan subterranean and the Asian subterranean, which are very destructive. They're very much the same in behavior, if you will, but very hard to detect. Even with a trained eye, you can come in and do an inspection on a property. They typically gain entry through the stucco and hollow block, feed on all the studs all the way up to the trusses. You don't know what's going on behind your walls, and you can only see as far as the naked eye can see. But when you start having ceilings collapse and not realize that you even had a termite issue, it's real damage, not covered by insurance companies, and people are left devastated. And we're seeing this more and more and more. They now have just come out with studies that they have been, as I've stated, that they've been studying this quite a bit with regards to these two subterranean species cohabitating. They have found that they are crossbreeding now. So that is what they're calling the hybrid termite. It's an infancy stage right now with regards to treatment protocol and what methods and how powerful they're going to be, because with in regards to a structural tent fumigation that we typically tent for drywood termites, you shoot a certain amount of gas based on the cubic volume of that property. That many pounds go in and it'll kill the drywood termites. But when you've got a subterranean termite, it's an in-ground injection. You've got to have bait stations in placed in ground. It's a completely different treatment method. But at the same time, what's fascinating about them is that they have the ability to make a carton nest above ground if they've got a moisture source. And it doesn't take much. It's just a very little bit of condensation coming off of your AC duct lines. It could be, a little water leak on your fascia board. They swarm as well. So all termites do swarm during season. And if you've got a little bit of moisture, even from a window shaker AC unit, any little bit of water, AC drip lines are notorious. That's a highway for them to come right into their home. They do find that water. With that being said, even a roof leak, with that being said, plumbing issues, we find it, the termites find it. They create a carton nest, which now is a satellite colony above ground where they don't need to remain underground any longer, which, 24 hours a day, they're feeding up and down, up and back down to the colony. And when they create that carton nest, long after you fix that moisture source, wherever it may be coming from, that carton nest can be anywhere between a subfloor, behind a wall, anywhere that you can't see. and they still have enough moisture in that carton to thrive and survive, and they do, and they can eat up to a pound of wood a day. So the destruction is real. I mean, a week and a half, the door's off the frame. We're not talking, minimal damage here. We're talking real destructive um, problems that we're seeing on a regular basis now. They have stated that in these studies that this is not just going to be a Florida issue. It starts here. We're ground zero. We're dealing with it here. We've been dealing with the Formosan and the Asian termites, and in the event that they make that carton nest, you're not only in-ground injecting and placing bait stations in ground, you also a lot of times need to structurally fumigate the property, and it's 4 times the amount of fumigant that needs to get shot into that structure in order to kill the carton nest. So powerful termites. I mean, and I've said it before, small but mighty, but they certainly wreak havoc, and it's devastating, for to see it, because it's not going away. It's getting worse. It's going to continue to get worse. It is a matter of time. It's not if, it's when. And the absolute net necessity to have any property, whether it be residential, commercial, or industrial, inspected on an annual basis. You should have it inspected. Even a trained eye, things could be going on behind that wall that you're not aware of. So, having the conducive conditions looked at around the house when we're doing our inspections, whether it be, AC drip line that needs to be, put on a PVC pipe and just to push it out away from the structure so it's not sitting up against the structure. Very important. Having mulch up against the structure, another situation that we see on a regular basis, that they feed on the cellulose and wood. So anything wood based, and they're feeding on all the way up to the paper on the back of your drywall. I've got contractors that I deal with. We've got a realm of individuals that we have, plumbers, electricians, and all that we talk with, and the roofers. They find this all the time as well. So we run into each other and talk within the industry. And some of these contractors, they say, Jenny, the only thing holding the wall is just the caulking and the paint. And I said, I know.
Sheesh.
Literally shreds. The studs are completely devoured. Pressure treated wood or not, doesn't matter. They'll still feed on the pressure treated wood. So it's been very, very important for me, because I am, again, very delved into the Florida Pest Management Association as well as nationals, always learning about the latest technology, techniques, products, equipment, to make sure that you're up with the latest. So you're on top of it. You got to be on top of it. It's a very aggressive termite. You need to be very aggressive with the treatment.
Yeah.
When you start seeing houses crumbling, it's a very scary situation to be in as a homeowner when you're not budgeting for that rebuild, because it is on your budget. The insurance companies they do not cover termite damage. And
I have a question for you, Jenny.
yes,
Because these are hybrid species from subterranean, and as you said, they create these carton nests. I think you called it.
yeah.
Is it true that if they have inhabited the walls of the house, then you do the typical tent fumigation? That doesn't really solve it. It might solve the problem in the walls for the time being, but it doesn't solve the actual problem, because these things are still active underground.
You're
Right.
absolutely correct. You
So
can't
now
do
this
one without the
goes
other.
back to like the preventative side, right? Like the
Yes,
importance. And I have personal experience. We talked about this before, of
yeah,
not doing the preventative side and having an issue at my old house, and we did have to
yeah.
get tented and all that. Can you speak to that a little bit about the importance of getting
Absolutely.
preventative treatment for your home?
Preventative is absolutely not just recommended. It's a necessity. In South Florida, we're our climate calls for it. Again, not a native species, a termite that we're dealing with. They're not going away. They expect this particular hybrid to go countrywide. So we are ground zero right now. They're still doing studies with it. We're in the infancy stages, but in ground treatment every 5 years is what the recommendation is, to have that treatment performed every 5 years around the exterior of the property. We
That's
do
the
a
one where they drill the holes and around the
we drill
property and
holes,
put
yeah,
chemical.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Drill holes, we pump product, we plug it, we patch it. We do trenching in areas of solder soil, we flood it, backfill. Bait stations are again latest science. We throw those in conjunction with the barrier treatment to protect the whole barrier of the exterior of the home. But those bait stations are fantastic. New science where there's an older bait station, but there's newer science bait stations as well. And just one feeding alone on a bait station can take the entire colony out. I mean, at that point, you're helping your neighbors, but there's a lot of room for error with those stations. They're labeled to be placed every 10 feet around a structure. There's a lot of room for error. These termites they're small, but they, at the end of the day, they're trucking and traveling through, and a lot of damage can be done in a very short term. And if they find that bait, great, but if they don't, We check the baits on an annual basis. But every 5 years, they should be having a preventative treatment performed, not just for the subterranean termites, but also drywood. Drywood are, they've been here for years. They're not going away. And, you see, certain time of the year during season, I say the circus is in town because the tents are going up all over the place. That's just, it's the time of year where they're most active. But nonetheless, they're feeding year round. They just go a little more dormant during the winter time. It's a little cooler, but they're certainly feeding. They're surviving. So yes, it's again, new species, and there's a conehead termite out in the swampland area. They're doing some studies with the scientists and the Department of Agriculture as well. They've asked to have us out to try to quarantine that. It's really a lot of studies with regards to so many species and our climate, with all the moisture that we have, and the waters along the waterways, all of the Isles of Las Olas, Riverland area. It's just, some of these areas are just inundated because of the moisture source.
So it's almost a recipe for disaster here in South Florida with the humidity levels. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a breeding ground for these guys.
We deal with builders every day, and the state, they do mandate that we treat the soil prior to the pouring of concrete for the prevention of an eastern subterranean termite, but they're not demanding that for the prevention of Formosan or Asian right now. And that to me is a very important, state law that probably needs to be addressed, but I'm not going to go into that right now. It's just, but
you won't go down the political rabbit hole on this.
No, but it's definitely something. Listen, I'm passionate about it because at the end of the day, I see brand new builds, multi-million-dollar homes. I deal with custom home builders, and I deal with big boys, little boys, and everybody in between. And these homes are not even a year and a half old, and you've got Formosan termites munching up to the second floor. So, at the end of the day, it's something needs to be done. It's devastating damage. It's definitely dollars that you can't get back, and it's your biggest investment is your home and peace of mind, to be able to sleep at night. It's just not, you physically hear the Formosan termites when they're active. You can hear them behind a wall, so.
Yep.
Yeah. A big
now you did an article on this topic in Cooper City Living magazine. I remember reading that these little buggers can actually dissolve concrete.
They have the ability, yes. They have fentanyl in the front that protrudes an acid-like substance out, and it can disintegrate concrete, gaining them access. And it doesn't take much for them to get in, but the width of a business card, they can gain entry. So any settlement cracks in the slab, plumbing penetrations in the slab that you're going to have with any build, they between the stucco and hollow block. I mean, these are notorious areas where they gain entry, and they, it's such a shame to be in the field and see. These individuals that are, you work and they're retired, they're on a budget, they've got Social Security, and just trying to enjoy the fruits of their labor in their life and in their home. And then to have something like as detrimental as and devastating as your home crumbling is, it's just, to me, it's just awful. I can't stress the preventative enough. Preventative is necessary now. Years past in Florida, we've always dealt with drywood termites. These subterraneans that we're dealing with today, the Formosan in particular, and the Asian now, and now that this hybrid that we don't, know a whole lot about quite yet, but really the studies are being performed. I don't know how powerful they can be when they're teamed up. It's amazing how they can, at the end of the day, even ants and roaches, and just like individuals taking antibiotics, they build up a resistance to product. So, with the studies that they're performing, looking to see what the next treatment protocol is going to be with regard to the hybrid. But regardless, those Formosans are out there widespread. I mean, 2 years ago, the last 2 years, our heads were kind of rolling, saying, "Wow!" I mean, we found them in this area and that area, areas that we'd never seen before. They're spreading with like wildfire. They're all the way out to 27. They found them throughout the counties all over. But when I tell you that, Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach right now are heavy. It's not just Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach. They're finding them throughout the state. It's amazing how fast that they've spread, and it's quite scary how fast they spread because the damage is definitely real. They're still building these houses with wood studs, and some of them are made with metal studs, but a majority are still made with wood studs. And they, people have a misconception about that pressure treated wood that they won't eat. Yes, they still attack the pressure treated wood.
Oh, they go after everything.
Yes, and cellulose base. Yeah.
So how, Jenny, once they take up residence, how fast can damage begin, right? Is this something that like once they enter the house, does it take weeks, months? Is it years? Is it a slow process?
Oh,
I'd
no, no, no,
imagine the
no.
hybrid ones are more aggressive, so it's quicker.
We're
How
learning more about the
quickly?
hybrid, but yeah, yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go,
Gotcha.
go, go.
Yeah, yeah. But the Formosan subterranean, it doesn't take long at all. Very short term, you're having a lot of structural damage. I mean, drywood termites
Well,
are
sure, you say
again,
short term. Are you talking like weeks, months? What's the typical range of
a,
time before you notice damage?
a mature colony of Formosan subterranean termites eat a pound of wood a day. So
Oh, Jesus. So like they take up residence
yeah,
and like inside a
they
small
part
window
of the
of time, you
family,
could have some serious
part of the
issues with the
family.
house.
Yeah,
Got it. Got it.
part of the
And
family.
what are some, so I know most people associate termites with wood behind walls and things like that.
Mhm.
What are some signs you could look for? Because you may have this problem if you don't have preventative
Yeah,
measures in place. You may be sitting in a situation where the
yes.
damage is going on. You don't even know it. Like, what are things you
No,
could look
check your
for?
baseboards. You're going around with this are the things that we do during our inspection process, and they eat all the way up to the paint. Your baseboard will look absolutely intact and look, but you take a vacuum cleaner and hit it, and it goes through it. Your door framing, same thing. It'll be hollow. You're touching it, and between your fingers going through it, and you don't know. And then it's very hard to detect them because they do eat, right up to the paint. And it's any cellulose-based product. I mean, like I said, we will start to see protrusions out of drywall where they eat physically, they eat the paper backing of the drywall, but the acid-like substance doesn't just break through concrete, it breaks down other materials as well. They start protruding mud tubes, is what they shelter themselves in. They're very delicate termite, the subterraneans. They require a lot of moisture. Their exoskeleton is very delicate. When exposed to the elements, they don't survive very long. So they do have these mud tubes that they build, and that's what they travel to and from inside these shelter tubes that they've created, via fecal matter, saliva, some soil, and then that's it. And they build quick. And so you've got mud tubes behind walls that are, go all the way up to, it can go several stories. And again, if they find that moisture source or a moisture source that they can now build that carton nest to prevent from going all the way back down to the ground, they're pretty smart. They do. And now they're to from that carton nest. But regardless, like you stated earlier, you can't do one treatment without the other. You must absolutely get product in ground. That's initially where they're coming from. But if you do have that carton nest, not able to locate that nest to extract it, then you are fumigating that house 4 times the amount of fumigate as well. And then you have the rebuild. So it's devastating.
Yeah, not fun. I'll tell you
No,
that for
no,
sure.
no,
And is it
no.
also true? I remember reading that there's instances where these colonies can attack multiple properties at once.
They can travel up to 300 feet underground. I mean, so a lot of times you have them, neighbors have them. I mean, we've been in several areas. This neighbor had, this neighbor had, and they're all, doing getting the preventative around their house to safeguard and prevent, and, protect their home. I've had, wood floors that'll start to buckle sometimes because they do build those carton nests. They you'll start to see, your floors are a bit uneven if you've got wood flooring. And, that's something that you should definitely have inspected to see that it's not subterranean termite. Again, the plumbing area is notorious area for them to come up as well. Moisture, they thrive on moisture and wood. So wood and water are not your friend. I'll let a lot of people have fence posts in the ground right up against the structure. It's Florida. I love the new decking. That's the composite. I think it's great. It doesn't weather with, even with water, and termites don't feed on it. It's great. And they've also got fence posts made the same way. And I recommend, if you're doing any kind of renovations with the home or planning on putting a decking in or putting new fencing, don't go the wood route. Just don't put wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're making it out of materials where so there's this composite material you're talking about. The termites, they don't go there.
No. They're just slowly feeding on cellulose-based product, which is wood. It's paper, wood, trees. The internal trees has been wild. We've seen, when we're doing treatments now, in our studies and our learnings through classes, the trees are, they're being fed up from the inside out, and it's trees are falling over. Trees are, there was one in Victoria Park that I read about, and I mean that area is somewhat inundated, unfortunately. But there again, there's hot pocketed areas that are heavy. Regardless, they're everywhere. So I mean, we're finding them all over. But the trees, we treat the trees as well, as long as it's not a fruit bearing tree. If it is a fruit bearing tree, then we're putting bait stations in ground, and that's the way to go with regards to that. But you've got beautiful trees. I mean, you've got mango trees, you fruit tree and fruit that they're attacking those as well, and they're so the danger as well. They fall on cars, they fall on your house, they cause damage, and hopefully your child's not playing outside when it falls over. It's a threat.
Yeah. So you're a Cooper City resident, as am I.
Yes.
What do you say? What would you say directly to your neighbors here in the community and really beyond about why this matters now more than ever?
Because it's going to cost you a lot of money in the long run if you don't. It really, I mean, and protect your property. Just it's your your safe space. Your home is your one of your biggest investments, and it needs to be protected. And I would absolutely say have the home inspected. We give free estimates on putting a barrier around the house to protect it. And it's extremely important, more now so than ever. It's not like I said, it's not a matter of time. I mean, it's not.
Yep.
It's when it's
If
not
and not
if.
when. It's
Correct.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
You
You're
know,
gonna
I know
get
what you're
them. If
saying.
you don't protect the house, yes. No.
Human beings, we have this propensity, out of sight, out of mind, right? We just don't
Right.
think
And
about things, and not just
yeah,
with this, but with everything, right?
yeah,
We tend to
yeah,
put things down the road or kick the can down the road when it comes to this stuff. And the prevention, what's the saying I love to use is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you
yeah.
own a home in South Florida, it is likely your biggest investment. You owe it to yourself to make sure you're protecting that investment. So if you haven't had an inspection, reach out to quality, have them come by and take a look, make sure that you're protecting against this, because it's better to deal with it now than it is. And take this from somebody who's dealt with this issue and paid $6,000 or $7,000 to tent their home and deal with that whole problem. It is a nightmare. So
Yeah.
take the time
No,
now to deal
not
with
fun. Yeah, the tenting process is it can be very invasive.
it.
It's very stressful. You're kicked out of your house for 3 days, 2 nights. If you've got pets and children, it makes it even more. And we all have to work. And some people work from home. I mean, there's some preparations involved as well as far as the exterior. Anything, foot of a flush ground seal, so we get a nice tight seal and don't have any escape of fumigant. There's some preparations with regards to your food and medication inside the house, and it's a to do that it's very stressful. Nobody really wants to have to go through it, and if there's ways to prevent it, absolutely. Drywood termites as well. There's preventative for that. So that's another every 5-year treatment where we treat all the raw wood members throughout the attic space. Protecting it, hitting soffit vents, fascia board, and every exterior wooden door frame. We fill a foaming termiticide to protect all your critical entry points. That product does have a 5-year shelf life, and again, is recommended every 5 years. Just protect the property. And that's a non-invasive treatment. That's something you can just sit at home, eat your breakfast while the treatment's being performed, and you're good to go. Just once every 5 years. There's no reason not to do it. Eventually, it's Florida. These termites, when I tell you they swarm, they're a blanket over the South every year, and we know when season's here. It's usually after a really good rain. About March time, March, April, May, June, July, we're hitting it, and it's
Oh yeah.
a very busy time. We're booked out months. These are people that didn't know they had termites, and that they start seeing them swarming and flying in their house. And I mean, it's the phone's ringing and dinging at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, because that's usually early evening hours when you're going to see that. But the Formosan subterranean termites, when they swarm, like I stated, there's millions in a colony, and it is absolutely a
It's an
sight.
ugly situation, to say the least.
They're up your nose or in your eyes or in your ears, or you can't, you got it, like
Oh,
you're,
stop.
it's like putting tear gas in your house. You're forced to vacate. No, when they swarm, there's millions, and it's not a joke. It can be very scary, traumatizing to some people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Jenny, as we wrap up here, for anyone out there that's listening that is experiencing an issue, maybe they're, again, they kind of think that's kind of like what the situation I was in when I had the termites. Like I kind of knew they were there, but I was like, I think it's not going to be that bad. Maybe they're just like avoiding the issue, or they just haven't had an inspection done, and now they're like,
Yeah.
oh wait, do I have
Have
an
an
issue?
inspection done. Just, yeah.
What's the best way to reach out to you guys? How can they get a hold of you and get someone out there to take a look and make sure that their home is protected?
The best way is to call the office. We've got ladies in there. We always answer the phone. We're not pushing numbers over there. We answer the line, and if the event that they don't, just leave that message. They'll call you right back. But they're always there to answer the phone. Schedule an inspection. There's no harm done. There's no fee for it. Have us come out, evaluate it, and inspect it, see if we see any conducive conditions. I'd love to go that route first, just to educate them on what they can do to prevent themselves. on top of absolutely giving a free estimate on getting a preventative treatment performed so that you don't have to deal with this in the future. It definitely is, it's something that's not going away, and it is absolutely getting worse. We've our industry has definitely had a huge influx with regards to the subterranean termites in general. Drywood termites were always a big deal, and we kind of look at those like a piece of cake because they feed very slowly, the drywood termites, and structural damage is not done in a matter of days. You can go sometimes several years of ignorance before you have any real structural issues with regard to drywood. However, these subterranean termites are not a joke. They are absolutely devastating. And like I said, a very short term, give it a week and a half and that door's off the frame. I mean, imagine what's going on behind your walls, up in your attic space, places that you can't see and that you don't go very often. And the damage is real. I mean, it's just, I just, it's a passion of mine to get the education out there so that I don't have to see any more of these people going through this very, traumatic. I've had a friend of mine that lost her business because she lost her home, was trying to deal with contractors in South Florida on a rebuild, and, single mother. My heart went out to her, just that it's if you can prevent it, and I can educate the consumer, the community on how important it is. That's what I'm here for.
Just keep raising awareness. Yep.
Yes. I don't necessarily like putting my face out there. I would much rather put maybe my daughters or something. But it's end of the day, it's important. It's not a joke. I just I just want to do my due diligence as a termite professional, a pest control professional, to let the world know how devastating and important it is to prevent this from happening to you.
All right. Well, we will leave it at that. If you're out there listening and you enjoyed this content, if you found it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And if you've had your own issue, like I have with termites, specifically with these hybrid termites, or even any type of termites, or gosh, any type of pest issue, let us know about it in the comments below. We're always interested to hear what's going on in your world. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we will catch you all next time on the next episode of The Quality of Unwelcome Guests, right? Yes.
Correct. Yes. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on Unwelcome Guests, brought to you by a woman-owned business that's serious about protecting your home and taking pests off the guest list. Have questions or need help? Call us at 954-842-9411.